Matthew 20. Matthew chapter 20. Thank you for playing, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for singing. Thank you all, Deacon Open Up, preacher. Thank you all for everything, for getting the service to where we are. While you're turning Matthew 20, I'm going to read 1 through 16 for the ESV. When you all get it, stand. Just also want to make sure I let everybody know I love each and every one of you. I love you all, and I'm so proud of who you all are and who you all are becoming. I see so much growth and development in you that it makes my heart just flutter, and I honestly can't wait to see you all on Sunday mornings. I can't wait to get here to see you all. So I just want to let you know you got somebody. You're not a number. I love you as a person. I love you. I miss you when you're not here. Everybody there, Matthew 20? I'm reading verses 1 through 16. For the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And going out about the third hour, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And to them he said, you go into the vineyard too, and whatever is right I will give you. So they went, going out again about the 6th hour, and the 9th hour he did the same. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing. And he said to them, why do you stand idle all day? They said to him, because no one has hired us. He said to them, you go into the vineyard too. And when evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, call the laborers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last, up to the first.
All right now, all right.
And when those hired about the 11th hour came, each of them received a denarius. Now when those hired first came, they thought, let me say that again, they thought they would receive more. But each of them also received a denarius. And on receiving it, they grumbled at the master of the house, saying, these last work only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat. But he replied to one of them, friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to the last work as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me?
All right.
I'll read that again. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or do you begrudge my generosity? So the last will be first and the first will be last. You may be seated. I want to talk briefly from the theme, God's amazing grace. But if I had a subtopic, it would probably be stay in your lane.
Yes,
Amen.
God's amazing grace. Man. This morning, I want to talk about God's amazing grace. And we need to understand is that grace is what God gives us that we don't deserve. Because the truth about it is, if God gave us what we deserve, we would be in a sad state of affairs. Amen. Because you all have been with me long enough and we've learned enough scripture, we know that all of our righteousness is as filthy rags. Meaning that we really don't have anything within ourselves to boast about. But everything that you and I have received has come from God by grace. Amen. Grace. And so I want to talk this morning about that. Our background this morning. Our text really picks up around the latter part of chapter 19 over in Matthew. Jesus will be responding to a question posed by Peter. In chapter 19, you will read about Jesus' contact with the rich young ruler. And you all know that basically he was asking, what good deed could I do? And it really wasn't a deed per se, but long story short, Jesus mentioned that sell your riches and follow me. And he said, he just turned around and left. We never know if he came back or not. But that also lets us know Jesus went on to say that it's hard for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Yes. Because some people are so entangled with their wealth. But then Peter steps up like he always does and asks Jesus a question. He said, look, we've left everything for you. What do we get? See? Now, this is an honest question, but it also reveals some deficiencies in Peter's character. But the Lord let him know. He said, look, those 12, he said in the New World, he told it over in 19, around 27, he tells them, he said, look, you all will be sitting on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel in the new millennium. He also let them know that things that you've lost in this life, you get back 100-fold. So now we need to understand that as a believer, when we forsake all to follow Jesus, it's not a sacrifice. It's an investment. Amen. See, when you forsake all, when you let go of that which you think is important to follow the Lord, what you don't know is he gives it back to you on this side, and you're going to get even more on the other side. Amen. So people, that's why I keep trying to teach you all that as far as associations. There are some friends you just need to let go. Because God got a whole new group of friends waiting right there. And the new friends will help take you farther than the present friends that you got right now. So what you lose for Christ is not a sacrifice, it's an investment, because he's going to give you back. And so the Lord lets him know that he's going to receive 100-fold, but he also lets him know that Peter, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. He's comforting Peter, letting him know you got some stuff coming. But he also detects within Peter there is a wrong motive. All right now. I will go ahead and tell you off the top, it's not good to want to bargain with God. All right. Amen. Okay, you do this for me, I do that for you. I'll go ahead and tell you up front, you're going to come out on the short end of the stick, and this parable is going to prove it in just a few minutes. So in other words, he asked a good question. But Jesus, by him saying, the first shall be last and last shall be first, he understands there's something hidden that there's a warning I need to let Peter know. Amen. I need to let him know you need to make sure your motives are right. So he goes on and says, the first will be last, last will be first. In other words, it's going to be some rewards. It's going to be some surprises when rewards are given out. In other words, now this passage is not always just about salvation, but it's about rewards. See, there's some folk going to be thinking they're getting this when they may be getting that. But there's going to be some people that think they're getting this going to get that. So in other words, he's letting them know my system of rewards is a little bit different than what you think. So in other words, Peter, to show you, let me give you a parable. You all know a parable is an earthly story to teach a spiritual point. So we get to this parable here, and I'm going to try to get out of here in a few minutes, give you all some more time for Sunday school, because I definitely went over last week. Now, this parable was Jesus taught. The landowner in this parable is going to be God. The vineyard is the world, and the laborers are the people he sent out. Now, let's look at verse 1. It says, for the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. Remember, this parable is to teach and answer Peter's question. Amen. Because Peter is saying, what do we get? So the Lord this whole parable is to illustrate a point. So Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for a vineyard. Watch this, verse 2. After agreeing with the laborers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. Watch this. Let's look at the hirer. First of all, early in the morning, this is about 6 a.m. Remember this now. Around 6 a.m., this landowner goes out to find people to work in his vineyard. Vineyard, agricultural work. And it was common in that day, they would go out to find workers for the vineyard. So the worker goes out at 6 a.m. Remember that. Now, The first thing you have to understand is this landowner owned the vineyard. Yes? Yes. Yeah. He didn't have to hire anybody, but he did. Amen. Next thing is, he went looking for them. They didn't come looking for him. Amen. So watch this. It says that they all agreed on the wage. This is going to be very key to the whole parable. He went to find laborers, but they wanted a contract. Amen. They wanted a contract. Yeah. We're going to find out in a minute too. They wanted a contract. And they wanted a denarius. A denarius was a day's wage. Amen. He said, okay, y'all go head on. Now, they didn't necessarily have to ask for a contract, but they did. Amen. They want a contract. They didn't want to trust the landowner. We want a whole day's pay. Okay. Next thing in, let's move down to 3, 4, and 5. This is the second group of workers. It'll make sense to you in a minute. Amen. And going about the third hour, he went at 6 a.m. Now he's going at 9 a.m. Amen. About the third hour, he saw some others standing idle in the marketplace. He said to them, you go into the vineyard too. Amen. And look what it says. And whatever is right, I'll give it to you. Amen. All right. All right. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. Oh, yes. The owner is still looking for folk to work in his yard. Yes, yes. Now, it is God who is always seeking and looking for us. Number one, for salvation. Yeah. Number two, to bless and do something great in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Watch this. The wage is whatever is right. Whatsoever it shall appear you can earn. Watch me a better way. The contract with the first was definite. Mm-hmm. With this one, it depended on the judgment of the landowner. Oh, yes. The first one said, I need a contract to work with you. Yes, sir. The other group said, whatever, that's fine. Yeah. I'm going to trust in your ability to be fair with me. Yeah. Y'all seen it already. Yes, sir. So the third group. Yes. Now, look at say, going out again about the 6th and the 9th hour. So he went back out at 12 noon, and he went back out at 3. And again, he said, whatever wage is right, I'll pay you. Yes, sir. They didn't say, I need a contract. They just trusted in, I'll go to work. Because first of all, I'm unemployed. All right. I could preach right now. All right, right now. I'm unemployed. You giving me some work. Yeah. Whatever you feel is right. Yeah. The fourth group. Now this is key. Follow me better way. Believe it, I'm almost halfway through. Believe it not. All right. Verse 6. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing. And he said to them, why do you stand here idle all day? They said to him, because no one has hired us. He said to them, you go into the vineyard too. Watch this. The 11th hour, 1 hour before the end of the workday. All right. He said, I need some, go work. It's only 1 hour. Go work. Yeah. What? 1 hour. Yeah. Again, we see the owner seeking. He found them. They did not find him, nor were they looking for him. Look, just like God. Yeah. Can you see everything? The landowner owns the land. Yeah. He got a whole bunch of work to do. Yes, he's going out trying to find some laborers. Oh, yeah. The first one say, I need a contract. Yeah. The other one say, I'll go. And then right before the day was over with at 6 p.m., he goes out one more time. Yeah. Go work for me, whatever's right. Okay, I'll go work. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Watch this. Grace gave them work they didn't deserve. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, grace is going to give them a pay they don't deserve. All right. All right. So now you got all these workers. Yeah. Simple message. The first group at 6 a.m. Then it went 6, 9, 12, 3, and probably around 5 o'clock. Yeah. The other 3, whatever you pay me is fine. Yes, sir. So watch this, verse 8. Great. And when the evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his farmer, call the laborers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last up to the first. All right. All right. Remember, this is a parable to teach a point. Yes, sir. Because Peter said, what we gonna get? Yes. As in like bargaining or, I'm following you for something. Yes, I need to stick a pin in it right quick. Yeah, all right. It's bad when you follow the Lord for what you can get from him. Yeah. And not follow him because you love him. Oh, But isn't it strange how we fall in love with jokers? They got nothing to follow them to I don't know where. Oh, y'all act like y'all sleep now. Isn't it strange how you fall in love with a joker for sake mama, dad, everybody? I'm in love. But when it come down to following Jesus, what I get?
All right.
Oh, that's all right. Anyway, you feel like preaching now. You fall in love, you start listening to your mama. Your dad, the kid, mommy, daddy. No, when you're in love, you forsake everything. Nose wide open. But the Lord say, follow me, what I get. You ought to follow the Lord just for loving Him's sake. But the one thing about love, when you show up fall in love with somebody, I'm here to tell you, love is blind. I know I'm right because I look at some of the folk we pick. Don't play with me. Laugh at yourself all you want.
Go ahead, preacher.
Y'all bought them scoundrels on. What in the world do they see? I love him. Love is blind. Love make you step out. Let's just drive off and start over. Okay, what about it? We just gonna start. Love make you leave one city and go to the next. Ain't got nowhere to live, but we got love. But isn't it strange when they talk about loving Jesus? I'm doing all this for you, Lord, but what you gonna do for me? Y'all see the picture, don't you? So the point is, he says, oh, yeah, by the way, foreman, bring everybody in.
Oh, yes.
And go and give them what they do.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, but I need you to do it in reverse order.
Yes, sir.
See, according to the law of Moses, these were day workers.
Yes.
So it was a requirement for them to be paid at the end of the day before it got dark so they could do what they needed to be done.
All right.
So he called them at the end of the day. Now, in that time, it was always customary for the first person hired to be paid first. The point of the parable is it is intentional for it to be in reverse order. Because the landowner wants the first group to see the others get paid. For those of you out there, I'm going to go ahead. That I do this for you, Lord, but you ought to do this. This is my favorite one. Oh, Lord, I pay my tithes for you. You got to do this. Oh, that's my favorite one. We got folks, I pay my tithes. I never run short. But if your life tore up from the floor, money can't happen that. I got folks my job. I pay my tithes. I never run out. But you cussing like a drunken Satan.
All right.
God, I do this for you. You got to do this for me. Okay, first group, I want a contract. Send away me rush the text, get to Sunday school. So he says, pay them all. But I need you to do it backwards.
All right.
That made those who started at 6 a.m. watch these other folk get paid who worked 1 hour.
All right.
So you got all of us.
All right. Yeah.
We've been out, all of us, hypothetically, been out there since 6.
Yeah.
They came at 5 o'clock. Wait a minute, you gonna pay them first? Hold on, wait a minute. Time out. Watch this. Look what it said. And when those hired about the 11th hour came, each of them received a denarius.
Yes, sir. All right.
The denarius was 1 full day's wage.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So wait a minute. I work 1 hour and I got a whole day's wage.
Right.
What an awesome God we serve.
Yes,
Some of y'all looking like, huh?
sir.
He said, come here. Oh, yeah, by the way, pay everybody. You got a big old audience. You came in at 5. You came in at 5. Huh? You get a whole denarius.
Oh,
You got a whole day's wage.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay? This is grace in action.
All right.
See, the landowner could have gave them what they deserved. Well, he could have broken them down. You know how we do in the business. You know, we get that time when we come it down. Well, this is what you really got.
Yeah.
He ain't come it down. He say, you get the whole thing.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
This is grace in action. God will give you stuff that you don't deserve because it's based on His goodness and not your so-called ability. That's why I love the song Amazing Grace. God is always doing above and beyond that which we deserve. All He wants to do is trust on Him and stop trying to do it on merit.
All right.
Who want to bargain?
Yes, sir.
Verse 10 to 13. Now those who were hired first thought they would receive more.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to call this point,
Oh, yeah.
stay in your lane.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know, stay in your lane.
Yes, sir.
That's what folks say when you stop trying to take care of your business and your affairs.
All right.
And you start trying to manage others. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't act like I'm on purpose. You know, folks get talk like stay, and you're like, oh, I got you. You know, you got your own set of affairs to do with. Why are you worrying about the next person? We got to learn how to stay in our lane. See, because we got to understand, what goes on over here ain't got nothing to do with you. So you need to stay in your lane. I'm going to say that. Can I say that again? What goes on with you ain't got nothing to do with you. Stay in your lane. Watch this. Now, when those hired first came, they thought they would receive more. You think?
Yeah.
But each of them also received a day's wage. Wait a minute, you mean the 1 hour guy got a day? And now you're going to give me a day? And on receiving it, they grumbled at the master. Watch this.
All right.
They grumbled at the man who owns the vineyard,
Yes.
who went out and hired them at agreed price.
Yes.
But now you complain.
Yes.
Y'all filling in the blanks. I ain't got to tell you.
Right.
Yes, I am. In the strength. How some of y'all got these jobs? You was happy at first. But then Jane Doe came in and got the same job with a few dollars more. And you went from the happy employee to the disgruntled employee. Stay in your lane. You agreed on that price. Be a big boy, big girl, and accept your pay. Stay in your lane. What goes on with other folk ain't got nothing to do with you. You get mad at the man who owns the stuff. But he was idle on the side of the street. He owns it. He hired you and said what you want. You told him, but now you're mad because you see somebody else. Y'all better wake up in here. I'm going to get you out in a few minutes. Yeah. Verse 11. And on receiving it, they grumbled at the master of the house, saying, these lads work only 1 hour. And you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat. They got a point.
All right.
To a point.
To a point.
We've been out here all day in the heat, and it was backbreaking work. And you made them equal to us. But he replied to one of them, friend.
All right. Yes.
Oh, yeah, friend.
Yes.
Am I doing you? I am doing you no wrong.
All right.
Did you not agree with me for a denarius?
Yes, sir.
In other words, why you mad at me?
All right.
I gave you what you wanted.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Trying to help somebody. Why you mad?
Got it.
Because I gave you what you wanted.
Oh, yeah. Sure right.
You mad?
Sure
I'm
right.
going to go back to the job. You was happy with that job at first. So Jane Doe got a few more dollars.
All right.
But you won't go get mad at the employer, but when you came, is that not what you signed up for?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got it, person.
They thought they should receive more. Why? What changed? The first group wage had absolutely nothing to do with the other ones.
Right.
Yes, sir.
There's a saying, and it's true. Favor ain't fair.
All right. All right. All right.
I'm gonna say that again. The first group the first group had absolutely nothing to do with what the other groups got.
That's right. That's right.
Watch this. Competitiveness and comparison. Man measures according to merit and what he thinks is fair. God measures the heart.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Watch this. Man's perception is not always God's reality.
All right.
He told me to write it just like that.
Yes.
Man's perception
Yes.
is not always God's reality.
Amen.
God's ways are different than man's ways. See, we measure on merit. God looks at the heart. That's why I love the song, you can't beat God given. But don't get mad when he give other folk evil. Stay in your lane. The parable is meant to teach us as God's people a huge lesson that in Christ's kingdom there never must be envy or jealousy. For when we are living under the rule of grace, there can be no place for those things, as all that we have received is undeserved.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't care how hard, how long you work. Everything you got, God gave it to you.
Yes, sir. Amen.
You ain't got no reason to say, I did nothing.
All right.
Because as the Lord give it, he sure enough can take it away. Everything you have, God gave it.
Yes, sir.
Everything you and I have, we don't deserve it.
All right.
It's by his God-given grace.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
But watch this. They grumbled. They complained.
Yeah.
The children of Israel. I'm going to tell y'all something. Hear me good. I'm going to let you go. Grumbling is a sin.
Say that again.
Grumbling and complaining is sinful.
Yes, sir. Sure enough it is.
In the wilderness, grumbling and complaining got them in trouble.
Yes.
I'm going to read this to you. Philippians 2:14. I'm going to get you out of here. Do all things without complaining
Wow.
and disputing, that you may become blameless and harmless, children of God without fault in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. In other words, the Bible also says, rejoice
Oh, yes.
with them that rejoice.
Oh, yes.
When God blesses somebody else,
Yes.
rejoice.
Yes, sir.
Don't get all sideways, because you know what? The same God that bless you for what he gonna bless you with, gonna bless you according to what you bless with. In other words, wait your turn. You can't be God's given. That's what the parable's trying to teach. These guys were like, Peter, what I get, he's trying to let them know, if you want to bargain, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. But you need to trust me, because I'm able to give you more than you ever thought of. In other words, my reward system is some folks think they're going to be in some mansions. You might be in a little small house, but it may be something they're going to just barely make it in. They might have a king's ransom. You got to understand, grace has no limits or bounds.
All right, right now. All right.
Jealousy, envy, and pride sets in. Watch this. The first group lost sight of the landowner's goodness to them because they were focused on the landowner's goodness to somebody else.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How many times have we lost sight of what God has done in our life
Yes.
because God do something in somebody else's life?
All right. All right.
You were happy with yours, but then when somebody else did it, you got funny.
All right.
God's grace.
Yes, sir.
Is that not what it's saying? They agreed, I need a contract. They just said, I'll work and do what you want me to do.
Yes, sir.
Amazing grace. God gives you what you don't deserve.
Oh, yes,
The
sir.
text is God rewards us not like we think people ought to be rewarded.
All right.
Hallelujah.
Yes, sir.
They are basing, watch this, church. They are basing their pay on how long they work,
All right.
how hard they work,
Yes.
compared to someone else.
All right.
Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
I've been doing it this long. We measure on stuff, on what we think we deserve.
Yes, sir.
That's cool. But don't get mad,
That's it.
because God also does the same thing.
Yes, sir.
But he don't look at it like you look at it.
Amen.
Verse 14 and 15. After this, you got some disgruntled employees. But now look what the landowner said. This is all back to Peter. But Peter's like, what do we get? God, and he ended that in 19. He said the last will be first. He's trying to show that God's reward system
Yes.
is not like man's. In other words, Peter, you worried about what you can get. I can give you more than you ever thought.
Oh, yes.
Look what he says in verse 14. He says, take what belongs to you and go. He told the first group, look what he says. Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give this last worker as I give to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm definitely giving out your way. Look what it says in 15. I highlighted this as I put it together. First 4:14. I underline.
Yeah.
I, being God, choose to give to the last worker as I see fit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is my stuff.
Amen.
I can do what I want.
Amen.
So if God is the one who's giving rewards, can I do what he wants? All right then. In other words, God blesses who he wants, and he curses who he wants.
Oh, yes.
Look what verse 15 says. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? In other words, he said I'm sovereign. I can bless who I want, how I want, when I want. So the first group said I need to have a contract instead of trusting in the mercy and grace of the landowner. So Peter was talking about what do I get? Jesus trying to say live under grace. I'm going to reward folk greater than they think. But don't be talking about specifics as what I get. And as a believer, that's why I said amazing grace. Stop trying to bargain with God. God rewards as he sees fit. And this shows he was generous. He didn't have to give that man for 1 hour. That's amazing. 1 hour of work, he gives him a day's wage. That's amazing grace. Can I tell you something as I close? If you look at God, everything God's given you, you don't deserve it. But look at what he's given you, and he didn't have to. The Bible says he's able to do exceeding and abundantly above that we should think or ask. In other words, what you think is good, if God got something better. That's why you can't fathom how he blesses you. Sometimes, and the end of it is, he said the last will be first, and the first should be last. Sometimes we get to thinking that our place in line gives us certain privileges.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about it.
I like what this pastor said, get these points and go. I like what he said. He said, as a pastor, sometimes I wonder why certain things happen to our church. He said, why haven't we grown to 20,000 people? I sometimes get upset when a young kid comes along, starts a church, and within 2 years has a church twice the size of ours. I wonder, hey, have I been in the field working hard since before the kid was even born? I think we need to go back to what we originally agreed upon, what we signed up for in this life. In other words, he's saying, I've been doing this a long time, I'm struggling. Here come a young kid, church blossoming. He said, you know what? Instead of getting upset, I need to realize, go back to what I agreed upon. Focus on what you agreed. These are the 4 points I want you to take from this. Number 1, don't follow the Lord for what you can get out of him. Amen. Follow the Lord because you love him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He will be able to bless you more than you ever thought. Don't get into a this and that with him. Just trust in his grace and mercy. Because his grace will do more for you than your merit ever will.
Yes,
Number 2, don't try to bargain with God. You'll always come up short.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Be satisfied, number 3, with what you have agreed on.
Yes, sir.
And what you've been given.
Amen.
Whatever you have, you got to realize, grace gave that to you for where you are. Don't get upset because somebody else got something else.
That's right.
Be happy because guess what? It's coming back around you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lean on God's grace.
Oh, yes.
What you have, you don't deserve.
Amen.
So in other words, he told Peter's concerned about what will I get? The Lord's trying to let him know you're going to get 100-fold. But I'm also warning you, Peter, don't be surprised at reward time because it's going to be a little different than what you think.
Yeah.
The last will be first.
Yes.
God don't bless us and give us rewards according to what we think.
Amen.
He don't see like we see. That's grace.
Amen.
That's why maybe I was saying this morning, be happy because amazing grace. God gave grace. None of us deserve to be here this morning.
Amen.
But he did it.
Glory.
He did it. The doors of the church are open.